Good morning, and welcome back to another most beautiful chapter of Fear of Imposing in Black Rock City. It's a beautiful day here in Black Rock Desert. We're having ourselves a little wakey poo pina coladas. It's build week here. The party hasn't started yet. So we're just enjoying ourselves, kicking back, taking it easy, cleaning up, tidying the place, making sure that this desert is ready. You know, we run a small cleaning service called the Clizzard Cleaning Services. You know, when we come out here and we get this place ready for all the attendees out here. They come to this desert because they want a nice clean festival. You know, they don't want a dusty festival. They come out here for cleanliness. So we dust all the art. We dust all the camps, we clean everything, we spit shine the trash fence. God, the trash fence goes for miles, you know, and it takes a lot of spit. So we're here for weeks prior, just spit shining the goddamn trash fence. You know, so anyway, that's what we're here doing here in Build Week. But today, we have another magical chapter of Fear of Imposing in Black Rock City. You know, so that's what we're gonna be getting into. But before that, a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Become Radically Lost. Become Radically Lost is today's sponsor. I do not believe that it's officially one of the 10 principles of Burning Man. It's on the secret menu. Becoming Radically Lost is on the secret menu of Burning Man's principles. And it basically, becoming radically lost means just go out there and fucking don't have a goddamn clue as to where or why or when or how you are. That's becoming radically fucking lost. No plans, just you're out there and you don't know what the fuck's happening. So yeah, becoming radically fucking lost. It's a very important thing. That's why it's on the secret menu. Anyways, Chapter 2, Lose Your Bearings. It'd been 10 hours before reaching Reno on Saturday. Having wished to get one last decent rest, we stayed at the Circus Resort and Casino. We hadn't slept properly in days, each empty tank running solely off fumes of coffee, cocaine, and Concerta. Before hitting the sack, we'd get into the briefcase to wind down while christening Chief's hand-carved Gandalf pipe. "If we're gonna do this," he said, "let's do it right. Hotbox this place real good-like." "Let's go outside," Sleazy replied. "Don't need the room smelling like weed. They'll charge my card for incidentals." "Not gonna happen. I have it all under control." He began stuffing a wet towel beneath the door slit, then ran the shower hot. "The steam will absorb the scent," he said. "Don't worry, I'm a man of science." Chief grabbed a bud of his 250-ounce flower, of which we had 4, $1,000 worth of weed for 1 week, the potency being instrumental in events to transpire. Marijuana may have been medicinally legalized at the time, but that particular entity should have remained a Schedule I narcotic. We sat in a circle on the floor, passing the pipe ceremoniously without realizing it was a goddamn weapon of mass destruction. None of us were strangers to the game, but a small toke of this stuff felt like taking a half-gram dab of concentrated wax. "The fuck is in that? Salvia?" Lone Wolf asked, semi-serious. "It's good shit, huh?" Chief replied. The sound of his voice began to reverberate in my head as if whomping from a heavy pull of nitrous oxide. Before the pipe could be passed a second time, we each fell back on the floor, completely immobilized. I'd never been so ripped off something so harmless. There was a strange, etheric whirring in the ears as eyes rolled in the back of my head, and all went dark. The most wondrous dream followed, having been sailing the great ocean blue in ways so vivid that I could taste salt in the air, feel wind in my sails, and hear crashing of waves against the ship. But just as quickly and beautifully as the dream came on, it warped into a horrendous nightmare. A gargantuan storm ensued, having thrown me from the vessel as I fought to stay afloat. But with each breach to the surface, more and more water was being swallowed, and I'd begin to sink further and further, until plummeting to the depths of an endless void. Then I awoke to screams. "God damn it!" Sleazy replied. Sleazy yelled. He didn't reply to anyone yet. God damn it! Sleazy yelled. Wake the fuck up! What the hell did you do? Chaos may have pulled me from the inevitable demise of that night terror, yet was still drowning nonetheless, my face submerged in an inch of water. Sleazy was flailing a soaked towel across Chief's face while stream shot in every which direction. Lone Wolf was sitting perfectly upright in a near meditative state with looks of both dismay and delirium, his bloodshot eyes scanning the room as if processing the severity of our situation. I was still zonked ass backwards, heart racing in attempts to differentiate the dream state from this wretched reality. You goddamned idiot! Sleazy was still yelling. You flooded the room! Get the fuck up! Grab a towel, blanket, sheet, it doesn't matter! Just fucking help me already! This problem was easily avoidable. Chief hadn't pulled the plug from the bath's drain. It was 4 a.m. and the water had run for the past 6 or 7 hours, having consumed us slowly, deviously, entirely. We spent an hour soaking it up with linens, to little avail. It wasn't long before Sleazy was on the phone with a front desk clerk, scheming his way out of a charge much heftier than the room smelling of marijuana. Just what kind of shanty establishment is this? He yelled. We came for a peaceful night's rest, and now we're bailing buckets of water from a sinking ship. It's lunacy. I can't even describe it. There's liquid seeping from the walls. Good God, man, you've got faulty fucking pipes. Our things are ruined. We're vacating the premises immediately. These conditions are appalling. I expect a refund in its entirety, or you'll be hearing from my lawyer. He never gave the clerk a single moment's response before slamming the phone down. We hightailed it from the joint like heisters from a lousily executed bank job, never looking back. The payment was reimbursed, and we'd be compensated with a deluxe suite at our leisure. By daybreak, we were back on the road. Cars, RV campers, and trailers congested the highway towards Fernley, onto Nixon, and finally Gerlach. We'd arrive at the edge of Black Rock Desert in a line miles long. By the time pavement met dirt, it was 10 a.m., and the party well underway. Thousands upon thousands of loons dancing wildly around their vehicles. It appeared the world's largest mobile tailgate party. Black Rock Radio kept us posted on the line's length, an 8-hour wait, and Sleazy wasted no time getting in on the action. He'd strap himself with a cracker of nitrous on his hip like a Ruger single 6, then vanish into the dust to shotgun beers and take pulls from piping hot bottles of liquor. Every year, the law enforcement here cracks down harder and runs a tighter ship. Don't be mistaken. Just because you're on playa doesn't mean you're inside the event. Don't be reckless on your way in or they will pull you over, slap you with a DUI, steal your drugs, arrest your ass, and ruin the trip before it even begins. A lot of officers out here are super rad and respectful of one's good time, but there are also heaps of narcs just begging for some hippie scumbag to give them a reason to bust skulls. It doesn't matter how much peace and love one has to offer. Their hunger can't be satisfied with crystals and good vibes. If looking at Black Rock City from an aerial perspective, you'd see an arrangement of concentric streets forming a large arc within the perimeter of Burning Man's 7 square miles. The innermost and main street being Esplanade, and the remaining to follow in alphabetical order, A through L, coincide with the theme of the current year. Each secondary avenue perpendicular to these streets are broken up by times on a clock, ranging from furthest west, 10, to furthest east, 2. This area is comprised of villages and theme camps, with the central hub located smack dab in the middle. The vast expanse beyond the main street of Esplanade is called Deep Playa, where you will find the man, temple, art installations, and wandering souls in search of both themselves and mystic realms far beyond. We pulled onto our street off 7 and F, meeting friends who'd saved a corner lot just across from the porta potties. Aside from looming whiffs of stale shit being broiled in the desert heat, it was perfect. We worked tirelessly to erect camp before dusk, having wrapped up just in time for that first unforgettable sunset. It was time to become acquainted with this vast expanse of a city. And what better way was there to go about it than thrashed on hallucinogens? We'd already tossed back a few mind melters each, the fungi being more than enough. But Sleazy wasn't satisfied, having dipped into the vial of L rather early. "Open your mouth, bitch," he'd demand upon approach. "You know how I feel about acid," I replied. "Think I'll just stick to the mucks tonight." "You'll be fine. This stuff is mellow. Trust me." Sleazy has always been a rather deceptive creature when it comes to ingesting drugs and administering their doses, whether giving too much of a drug, too strong of a drug, or the wrong drug altogether. I've never unintentionally found myself in more precarious and damn near life-threatening situations than at his side. And while that's not to say they aren't ripping good times, they just never play out as the intended time in any way, shape, or form. "Fine," I said as he proceeded with shaky hands. I felt each drop, several in fact, having bitten off more than one should chew. "Good luck," he said, giggling. "That shit is strong as fuck." There was no time to lose. Our race against the drug had already begun, and I was now at a severe disadvantage. We hopped on our choppers and peeled off into the neon light-filled night. The event wouldn't officially begin until the next day, so getting a lay of the land without thousands of people contorting our every whereabout was crucial. It's nearly impossible to navigate this place in the dark for the first time. It looks like Las Vegas on anabolic steroids. But instead of flashing lights, it seems more appropriate to assume fireballs and meteor showers are always within striking distance. To say all 5 of one's senses are overstimulated stone cold sober, let alone twacked off your camp chair, is a gross understatement. The immense sensory overload consisting of people, lights, and loud noises aren't the only things taken into consideration. The warping environment hardly ever works in one's favor. With fierce winds blowing walls of dust and distorting sight, there's next to no visibility in a 5-foot radius. Forget about seeing that giant neon shark with its jaws open wide, heading right towards you. Even the man, who resides dead center in Deep Playa, is positioned in a way which should, in theory, allow oneself to have a grip over their bearings. However, I swear to fucking Christ that shifty wooden asshole is constantly moving about to maliciously throw people off course. If you aren't an avid expeditioner of the strange and peculiar, perhaps don't try sailing your vessel through the choppy waters of Burning Man for the first time while heavily under the influence. However, in my humble opinion, you shouldn't have it any other way. We were like that group of cliche white guys pissed drunk on karaoke night, weaving to and fro while singing "Don't Stop Believing" at the top of our lungs. Every few minutes, Sleazy would fly by at full throttle, topping 30 miles per hour in a school zone with his legs spread eagle, shrieking incoherent obscenities. There were wondrous and chaotic sights in every direction, but when the first contraption turned flamethrower was spotted, it was time for a pit stop. It was an elevated deck with a cylinder stemming from its center, engulfing the rim in a ring of fire. There was a net hanging which draped the area in lights, and calming music played in the background. We were so wildly perplexed by this incredible whatchamacallit that we hadn't even noticed the dozens of people lying peacefully beneath it in silence. The mushroom wave was in full effect, and seeing this creation breathe as if sentient had slowed us down to acknowledge a moment of deep appreciation. Although sadly, it didn't last long. Lacking any situational awareness, Chief cut right through the soft and tranquil air with a blunt machete, screaming, "Saddle up, boys! This thing is pretty cool, but let's get the fuck out of here!" 40 heads shot upright in morbid disgust, their Zendo meditation being rudely interrupted by this obnoxious, loud-mouthed buffoon. Sleazy had a pale look of disappointment, and he'd barely a sliver of decency for anything at the time. Chief began shrieking in disbelief at the damage caused in disrupting the peace. It was the first moment for us of which we'd realized this place wasn't just a raging party in the middle of nowhere, but that there were people here whose space and meditative states needed to be shown some form of respect. Completely unbeknownst to us, it'd be a long week of unintentionally pissing people off. Our gang of bandits made rounds for a couple hours. We'd stop at bars for a drink, or 4, then mosey to some art. Every 5 minutes we'd stop due to Chief's headgear issues and malfunctioning engine. He's the type of person who is always prepared with all the fixings. Toilet paper, MREs, water jugs, can opener, flare gun, tent stakes, zip ties, duct tape, rope, carabiners, and whatever else. If there was no reason to need it, he'd have it. All while looking prepared for war, dressed head to toe in military gear, cargo pants, heavy vest, combat boots, 30-pound rucksack, goggles, head shroud, and an excessive gas mask. But what this accomplished most was make it nearly impossible for him to ride at night, since he'd constantly have to stop and adjust the 12 things wrapped around his head. "Hold up," he'd yell. "I can't fucking breathe in this mess, or out of it for that matter." Perhaps if you didn't come out here looking to scale Everest, you wouldn't be in this little predicament. I said, stopping at his side to light a cigarette. By now, the acid was really kicking in, and watching him adjust the headgear looked more like he'd been trying to solve a giant Rubik's Cube. Everything above his shoulders had morphed into square fractals that were sliding every which way and glistened in my headlamp. "Hey, bud, mind not shining that light directly into my fucking eyeballs?" he asked. "Shit, sorry," I replied. "It's just your head. There's some kind of a quantum mechanics situation. I don't know. I'm no scientist, but something is happening to you." "Pay no mind. It's just the acid. You've had 4 goddamn eyes since leaving camp." As Chief struggled to undress the endless articles of clothing, we'd noticed some strange shadows appear from an A-frame of plywood 10 yards out. We stepped off our bikes and lurched hesitantly towards whatever we'd been hyper-fixated on. What was this deformative monstrosity? I wondered, having believed all 4 of my eyes were playing tricks on me. I'd never seen such abnormal physiology or unworldly movement, as if bearing witness to Homo sapiens' quantum leap in evolution. It appeared 2 alien beings were morphing into one another. Our vision was insanely distorted, nothing having made any sense at all, yet still, curiosity got the best of us. We crept closer, like lions preying in tall grass. There were no rocks or burrowed dwellings for miles. So, where had these seemingly oversized lizards crawled up from? Chief was mere inches from them, examining this undiscovered subterranean species with immaculate detail, before his clinical trials revealed conclusive evidence. He screamed directly into their eardrums, "Holy hot hell! It's 2 people, and they're fucking!" "Jesus Christ," I replied. "Get out of there, you madman! Can't you see they've taken a defensive position? His jaw is dislocating as we speak. They'll swallow you whole." I could have sworn it'd been a 3-headed hydra amidst a heated argument with itself, until realizing that 3rd head was just the gal's leg kicked up over her shoulder like a gymnast, her flexibility being both unnerving and tantalizing at the same time. This wasn't some twisted illusion, but 2 people having sex against an art piece like sloshed and gnarled reptiles, totally deprived of their primal urges outside of this freakish terrarium. Who knows how long we'd been analyzing this parthenogenesis snake hive, where boa constrictors were battling to their erotic death, the slippery specimens in mid-shed, never having noticed our scientific observations. Once snapping out of that cobra flute hypnotic trance, we noticed to have been abandoned, our gang leaving us to be consumed by our own confusion. When juggling dust storms, commotion, and bustling traffic of semi-cognitive minds, if one loses track of their group for a second, you're shit out of luck, and all hope to find them relies heavily on serendipitous chance. Once stepping onto that desert, the ideology of no man left behind becomes in every aspect null and void. We were now alone in the abyss, 2 souls blinded within a 10-foot radius to the absolute absurdities of this total mindfuck environment. If to stay safe in that thick fog of mind, we'd have to rely heavily on the buddy system, never out of arm's length to one another, and being sure to never, ever turn our back on this feverish dream. With no compass or sense of direction, Christopher Columbus himself would have never felt so uncertain navigating the stars twisted on LSD and psilocybin, devoid of sanity. We wandered famished for hours, not having eaten since before the workday began, while only ingesting copious amounts of alcohol throughout the evening. Too stoned to understand the complexities of a self-cooking MRE, we suffered until stumbling upon a wood-fire pizzeria, because why wouldn't there be one of those way out here in the middle of no man's land? Now energized, we picked up speed while taking daring routes to launch over scattered bike ramps like Evel Knievel. I saw an unfinished metal dome in the distance with an opening and blew through it at full bore. The only problem being, it was dark and there hadn't been an exit. The bridge of my nose was immediately bludgeoned by a steel bar before clotheslining in reverse scorpion, my bloody face being dragged across the dirt while my ass kept mounted on the bike. "Holy fucking shit!" Chief yelled as I toppled sideways. "That goddamn bar came out of nowhere," I wailed. A couple witnesses ran over as Chief began wrapping toilet paper around my head. "Oh my God!" they yelled. "Are you okay? That looked awful." "He's fine," Chief said. "Don't worry about it." "Is there anything we can do? We have some poppers here. It may help with the pain." "Poppers?" Chief yelled. "Does he look like he wants to get fucked in the ass? He's very obviously been fucked right in the face." I felt beat to shit, but if gearing up to build bad karma, it's best to get the consequences out of the way early. We'd seen more than enough of this evening. It was time to turn in. While there are street signs for guidance, they were of no use, having forgotten where we lived altogether. However, there were tons of weird landmarks our puzzled minds were able to distinguish, like turning left at the giant inflatable dicks, right at the sexaholic orgy dome, and straight ahead past the Beetlejuice-themed Inferno Room Inn, a mating dungeon for furries. We arrived home to an undesirable interrogation, demands to know where we'd been, what we'd done, and why my face was a bloody, mummy-wrapped mess. Questions of which felt violating to disturbed minds clinging on to self-preservation. There was no sense in attempts to answer them, nor address our own deep-seated, convoluted thoughts. Chief and I resorted to the Xanax, having insisted we forget the entire ordeal. We must wipe the memory of those events and unimaginable horrors, I said. Especially those two fucking reptiles. I believe that losing one's bearings at Burning Man is one of the most vital aspects of its experience in magic. I'm in no way referring to understanding a lay of the land, but where one finds themselves at any given moment, whether coherent or beyond confused. So much of Black Rock City's beauty and bewilderment is realized once surrendering to being entirely fucking lost. The second one solely focuses their attention towards an end in sight is the moment those vast and marvelous potentialities of the journey itself are relinquished. Burn the itinerary, trash those plans, distort any sense of direction, and never have a final destination. In forfeiting desire to seek and expect, heading into bumfuck nowhere will always lead to a fascinating somewhere. Burning Man, much like life, is no more than a choose-your-own-adventure book, one you'd be reluctant to skip ahead in, having missed the endless wonders which lie between each page. Wow. That was some wonderful chapter. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Build Week day here in the wondrous Black Rock Desert. I have not eaten anything yet, just that pina colada. So I'm gonna go make myself a breakfast of pickles and licorice because sugar and salt helps you hydrate. Electrolytes, it's science. It's pickles and licorice basically is all you need to survive out here in the Black Rock Desert. So if you are gonna come out here, you don't know what to bring, perhaps just get a bunch of pickles and licorice because it's all you need. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much for joining me for today's wondrously magical and beautiful and little hooliganistic chapter of Fear of Imposing in Black Rock City. I cannot wait for next time. I cannot wait for next time. The next chapter is so phenomenal. You will love it. But until then, yeah, you know, if you're coming this year, if you're coming next year, if you're coming whenever, have a safe burn. Yeah. See you next time.